Hello and welcome to another episode of Stoke Fan TV with myself, Max.
And me, Sam.
And Sam. And we're going to be coming to you with a special guest as well tonight. The man, myth and legend that is Alan May. Alan's going to be joining us very shortly. You might be wondering why we've changed location from our studio. It's because the internet connection at our studio isn't the best and we don't want to lose Al when we get him on video link. So he's going to appear somewhere around about here. We've got him on camera there, and we're going to be talking to him about a few things Stoke related and maybe even a few things Euros related. Right, welcome Al, welcome to the show again.
Hey up, youth. You good?
We're fine. How are you?
I'm good. No, happy days, all good.
Excellent. Right, so without further ado, I think you're the first thing I wanted to ask you about was the new Stoke kit. So obviously you're wearing the new Stoke kit. Give us your thoughts on it. You obviously like it because you've gone and purchased the top.
Yeah, there was a couple of things that issued. I bought it on the pre-sale, and it didn't allow me to put my name and number on the back, which I always do on my tops that I buy from the club shop. So I received it, and then 2 days later, I got an email saying you can now buy your name and number for the back of your shirt. Well, the shirt had already arrived at my house. A bit aggrieved about that, but hey ho, look, I like the shirt. It's a traditional 3 stripes. Stoke City is exactly what we should have. Not 5, not 6, but the 3 stripes. It's got a nice touch on the collar with the black and also on the sleeve. People say, what are we doing with black on the sleeve? 1974, we had black on the sleeve and on the collar, and we also had a black and red stripe on the white shorts in 74, 75. So as that goes, it sort of suits the sort of demographic of what the club was about. And that's why you sometimes see the Stoke bar scarves with the little white, red and the black line in them.
Right.
Commonly refused as a Manchester United. But hey, it's a Stoke City scarf. It is a nice kit. It feels nice. It's nice and silky. The badge location dead central with the usual Bet365 on the front. And then they've got a nice little touch on the back of the nape, where they've got a little potteries kiln, which is all about the identity, and the club doing the latest sort of videos about identity and the heritage about the club and what it's all about. So overall, I'd give the shirt a 9 out of 10. And there is one detail I forgot to mention. The kiln on the back is also seen, though you won't pick it up on camera, but it is also seen in the red stripes. So an indentation or a manifestation of the kiln, upside down, back to front, and this, that, and the other, but it's in there. And it just looks nice, really. It feels good on, and that's important as well. And the one question that is important about any Stoke or any football shirt, it has to look good with a pair of jeans.
Right.
It works for me.
Excellent.
But I mean, some of these things I've bought in the past, fluorescent bright yellow. Well, with a pair of jeans, you just look like an Aldi advert or a Lidl advert. You know what I mean? So it just looks odd. But I think it looks nice. It's traditional, nice fit. I will just add that it's not always the cheapest at Stoke, but I think it's about £52 or £53 without the transfers put on. So it's not the cheapest, but I think it's probably in line with a lot of Championship clubs. Shirts. I know there are clubs out there that do. You know, you go to Scotland and get a Stenhouse-Muir shirt for 30 quid. So you know there is a difference, but it's all about money at the end of the day and who's turning over. I don't know what we do in terms of monetary revenue from the sale of club shirts, but I know some clubs, the bigger boys, are doing 40, 50, 60 million quid just in shirt sales alone.
Yeah.
You know, and when we talk about that, we talk about Liverpool and Barcelona and teams like that, really. We'd probably do 2 or 3 million, I would imagine, in shirt sales. But we'll be certainly down the pecking order. 9 out of 10 for the shirt. I think it looks right. I think it sits well. Just waiting now to see what the away top looks like. And I have heard that it's going to be all black.
Really?
A little sneaky one, but I could be wrong. So it came from one of my friends with a horse's mouth that it's all black.
Right. Well, that'd be interesting. That will give the referees something to think about. Obviously, they'll have to wear a different colour.
Our horrible neighbours up the road, the Vagrants. I mean, they had an all-black one, didn't they, last season as well?
Ah, right, okay.
So it's not too dissimilar to that thing.
Well, well, what do you think to the new kit, Sam?
I quite like the new home kit. I was a little bit iffy about the badge being central, but I'm starting to like it a bit more now, seeing that the kiln in the red stripes.
Yeah.
I think that's a really nice touch, and to be fair, I didn't notice that straight away, so I think that's really nice. I quite like the collar as well, as Al said. I quite like the black marks on the collar. I think it makes the collar stand out. I think it looks great. I'd say about 8 out of 10. I won't go as far as 9. I'd say 8.
He's a little bit beyond. I think what was interesting as well, we did a poll on our Facebook page, and the vast majority, I think we had about 1,700 votes. The vast majority like the kit. A really high percentage, 96% or something like that, I think it was.
Yeah.
I'd have to confirm because I haven't looked at the poll before this show, but it was a really high percentage. So it seems like a lot of Stoke fans like the new kit. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments.
Al?
So, Al's just got another point.
Yeah, just one other point is the colour. It's actually a nice colour red, which makes a difference and less of the orange or the blood red. It's a really deep red, as you can see on the. I hope the video picks it up, but it is a really nice colour, and that makes a big difference. My only concern, or it's not a concern really, it's my only grudge if I was going to have one, is the badge. I'm not a massive fan of the Icelandic badge.
Right.
The reason we have blue in it was because it was red, white, and blue for Iceland when we were owned by the Icelandics in the 90s. Realistically, I'd love to see the traditional crest back, or even the early 80s badge. The kiln and the knot and the 3 stripes. That, if you did a poll, you'd probably find out that along with the traditional city crest, would be very popular to see it back on the shirt, and that's more than what that does. I mean, I know the identity and it's a brand. I think when they did it, they said, "Oh, we'll stick with the 3 stripes, Stoke City," and then straight away they put a shirt out with 5 stripes. You know what I mean? It was a bit like the crest of Wolverhampton Wanderers. They did away with that, and then for brand identity, just had the wolf's head. Hey ho, we could have had a potter's head maybe. A saga maker. I don't know, but the traditional crest would suit me down.
Well, we're certainly, I think, at some point we'll catch up with you about Stoke badges and crests through the years at some point. So that'd be a good idea to do. But what do you think to that as well, Stoke fans? Obviously, it's an interesting point that I'll just make about the new I say new badge. It's been a badge for a while, but what's your preference? Do you prefer kind of like the more older one? What do you think about this one that's obviously got the blue in? Again, let us know in the comments. Right. Thanks for answering that question for us. So we've got a couple more, and obviously we'll move on to the next one. So Sam wanted to ask you a question, didn't you, about the new training ground?
Yes. So you've seen the plans on Facebook about building a new area to the training ground. What do you think to that, Al?
I think it's great. I really think the chairman and his family are putting a major investment into the club again. And I wasn't sure on the price quoted. It was something like 13 million quid they're going to reinvest into the training centre. I mean, I remember the training ground when it was owned by Michelin. It was the Michelin Sports Centre. And what it looks like now compared to what it looked like then is phenomenal. And then to add, I mean, let's face it, we've got Premiership facility now, and I think it'll take us up that bar. I remember seeing Suter do an interview when he went to Leicester, and I was wowed by their facility. And I just hope that we take something from, say, a team like that who had major investment in their facility, put it into our facility, and then focus on the things that really count about having a decent training centre. Sometimes I think you can overcook it. You can over-egg what you're putting into a facility. And it's a lot of money. But what is key? Coach family, second to none. Best chairman in the league. What he does for Stoke fans with the free coaches that are away travel, keeping season tickets at a level that is unheard of, unprecedented within any club. For 16 seasons, my season ticket hasn't gone up. And that's 10 years in the Premier League at the same price. That's just phenomenal. And it really is Division 2 rates that we pay. You go elsewhere, you're paying 3 times as much, 4 times as much for Premier League clubs, 5 times for Arsenal. So what we're paying at 340 quid a year, it is a steal. And like I say, you can't fault Mr. Coates and what he's doing for the club. So yeah, the facility for me, does it need it? Probably not, but I think it'll just take us to the next level. So if we start thinking outside the box and the club starts to progress and do well, get back in the Premier League, and hopefully, like we did when we had 3 seasons at ninth, that's when we should have had major investment into the team. I think we may have got from ninth to sixth, but instead we had the free fall down to the bottom, and then we went through the process of having a load of Mickey Mouse managers, and it cost the club. They've wasted millions then when they should have done the investment when we finished on that 3rd season at 9. And then we'd be top 6, we'd be in Champions League, or Europa, we'd be pulling in major stars again like we did. When we were in the Premier League, the Arnies of this world, and the Bojans, etc., Shaqiris, and Peter Crouch, getting the names that we really enjoyed and embraced when they were coming to Stoke-on-Trent. Let's face it, did you really think in those days, even in the Premier League, would we be pulling in players like that? Stephen Nzonzi, best midfielder at the time, absolute diamond, could run the park from the midfield and still score a goal from 40 yards. They're the sort of players that we need at the club now, but we're invested in the facility to bring those players in, hopefully.
Excellent. Yeah, I think what Al's just said, Sam, and I think it's that idea of this investment, and this investment with a picture of what's to come, maybe, for Stoke. Now, you mentioned then obviously players coming in, Al. Just quickly get your thoughts on the 2 signings that we've had so far. Obviously, keepers come in, Victor Johansson, and now we've got a new centre-back, haven't we, as well? So can I just get your thoughts about them?
Yeah, of course. I think the keeper is a great signing. He wasn't in the best team, but he probably saved them from having an extra 60 goals in the back of their net. When you watch the videos, he throws himself about. He's not afraid to go in for the challenge. He was putting shots left, right, and centre away from the goal for Rotherham, and I think that's a cracking signing. Something what we need. We've always had good goalkeepers at Stoke City from the 60s onwards, really. My favourite goalkeeper at Stoke in the past was John Farmer. He always doesn't get a look in. He was overshadowed by the mighty Gordon Banks and Peter Shilton. But John Farmer, for me, was always a quality goalkeeper. Moving on to present day, I think, I think Bonham leaving, Iverson staying, and as a number 2, and the new keeper as number 1, I think that's a good move. For Gibson from Norwich, steady away, mate. Solid defender. He's at an age, he's got experience. I think he's 32. I think it's a really good signing. I do actually believe now if we can build on that. I'd like to see another left back maybe, but definitely a playmaker in midfield, and what everybody wants, someone who can hit the ball in the back of the net with a bit of flair, like a Mark Steen, if we can find one. But I think as a club, we've got the financial backing, and we've got a good fan base, an average fan base of about 24,000 at home matches. But it's nice to see that, if we were at the top end of the table, like myself and Sam did at the last game, it looked full. There was 26, 27,000, but we can get to that level and then to the 30,000, start bringing in that extra revenue that they can spend on better quality players. I'm pleased that certain players have stayed. I would like to have seen Kundal signed, and possibly it still might happen, and Hoover, those 2. And I know someone mentioned to me, well, he's very similar to Junior.
Yeah,
A similar player, but then that's good. They're fighting for the place. My favourite player at Stoke at the end of the season was Millian Manhuth. I thought he was on fire. I thought he was cracking, and if he can only develop, Jeannot can develop and stay. If you read the press recently today, he scored his first goal on his major senior international goal against Singapore for Korea. And of course, who's bigging him up? Son from Tottenham. Exactly what we said in the interview with the Korean boys. He's spotlighting him. So let's hope we can keep him, and he doesn't go and take Son's place, because I know he's going to mentor him. Yeah, midfielder. maybe another left back, and then let's hope we can bring some of the younger lads through as well.
Absolutely. We obviously we went down and we played. Sam and I got to have a kick about on the pitch. You might have noticed we managed to take a penalty each, which was good fun. But a lot of when we asked some of the fans down there, we said, where do we think Stoke need to strengthen in the summer? And without question, everyone said striker, centre forward. But my concern isn't so much that, it's more we have strikers. I just wonder if are we playing the right system to get the best out of the strikers that we have?
Well, we've had a lot of systems at Stoke, and the Mickey Mouse one always springs to mind with that horrible man from Luton Town who couldn't be told and just brought our club down to its knees. Having said that, look, I'm like Cockney Ted. We like the 4-4-2. Traditional Stoke is 4-4-2 or 4-2-4, but having the two wingers or the playmakers down the side. If you don't put the ball in the box, you've got less chance of scoring. So really, you need people that can run on the flanks, whip the ball in, high or low, it doesn't matter. Hard and low is as good as high and a decent cross, in my opinion, and then just whack it towards the net. How many times at Stoke have we always tried to walk the ball in? Too many touches costs you the chance or the opportunity to put the ball in the back of the net. Let's have some practice at shooting, because I always think we'll have a free kick, it might be direct, but then we'll pass it or we'll do a stupid rose-led sort of thing. And it always irritates you, doesn't it? Because you think, if I was manager, I would have said, pass it to him. Why didn't he pass it to him? Why was he being greedy? But at the end of the day, let's get players that can shoot and get the ball in the mix. Get it in the mixer, you've got a chance of getting the goals.
Would you echo that, Sam?
I completely agree. I think the last time we had a player that was confident putting the ball in the box all the time was probably Timon. I'm thinking, going back even further, the best wingers Stoke have had with the days recently of Matthew Everington and Jermaine Pennant, and they'd run down the wing at the first opportunity, they'd get the ball in the box and there'd be somebody there to head it into the goal. Stoke stopped doing that when Mark Hughes come in and we signed the players that were playing more as inside forwards and advanced playmakers and not wingers. Shaqiri used to cut in and shoot with his left foot, Arnautovic the same on the other side. It'd be nice to see Stoke actually go back to that wing style of play and actually just trying to get the ball in the box.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point that you both make. And what do you think to that, Stoke fans? I mean, are you thinking the same as what a lot of Stoke fans are thinking? And that's maybe we need more than one up front. Are the strikers the problem, or is the formation the problem, and is the style of play the problem? It's an interesting debate. It's a really interesting subject to talk about. Let us know in the comments. One more thing, and then I'll move on to the next question.
Yeah, just before I move on, I would say any home team that plays one up front, unless they've got 3 or 4 attacking players behind him, whether it be from midfield or on the flanks, they are so defensive, it's embarrassing. If you put, like I mentioned, I think in one of the interviews with yourself, Tyrese getting booed off the park. He was up front. He got 4 defence. I mean, he was a good player, and he can hit the ball and he can score goals, but no service, no goals. 2 up front minimum. I hope people agree with that. But yeah, 4-4-2, 4-2-4. If you play that system and don't be bought into what the opposing team are doing all the time, that really irritates me. And also the irritation is playing out from the back. Sometimes our players just aren't good enough to play out from the back, little triangles. How many times have we lost the ball in the bottom third of the park? They're expected to play it out the back, give it to keeper, hoof straight down the middle, chase it, whack it. Give it to that bloke who was playing at League Town the other week, come on for 10 minutes. He knew how to finish.
Yeah, I don't know who he was. He looked like he knew what he was doing. I mean, he sprinting down the middle. He was 30 seconds and he was done. His lungs had gone. But no, I think that's a good point. I think, like you mentioned there, Tyrese Campbell. That was an interesting one because, again, just up there, playing by himself. I've said it before. You know, if we're playing with a false nine, where we've got that guy up front who's dropping back into that space, but we don't play with a false nine. We play with a number 10. We play with that guy as that cam almost. And I do sometimes think that the striker is isolated and almost don't necessarily know what his job is. Because it's either drop off, he can drop off to collect the ball like a false nine will, but he's not doing that because that space is occupied already. Anyway, we could go on about that for ages. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. We're going to ask our final question of our show, because obviously we've got an international tournament coming up, the Euros. I'm not sure any Stoke players are going to be playing necessarily in it, as far as I'm aware. But I'm a big England fan. I'm buzzing. I can't wait. But what do you think, Al? Are you going to be following it? I believe you go into one of the games.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. There's a few of us going out from Stoke on Friday the 28th, which is the weekend of the teams that make the first game of the knockouts. So if we go through after the group stages, hopefully we'll be there. And if England get through, then we'll be playing on the Sunday Slovenia, one of the two. But that's who we'll be playing, and then we'll be there from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then coming home on the Monday. So it's a short trip, but just to get a flavour of what it's about. I'm happy to do, a little bit of a blog while I'm out there, which I can share with yourselves. So that would be good. There was one point, just going back to something about the club that we didn't mention, and I don't know if you want to sort of talk about that tonight, and that was about the safe standing.
You're one of those affected, aren't you, by the safe standing? So I'd just be interested in just get your take on that.
Well, look, I've been in the South Stand, and I've sort of grown to love the South Stand, as we call it, the SSL, the South Stand Loyal, because we have a certain bunch of people that are in there week in, week out. Now, we waited many years, and I've had the same seat in there for 15 seasons. I think it's 15 minimum. But prior to that, I was a boot in the booth and end all the panic. But we waited for that corner to get filled in, because on a wet day, we used to get soaked. So it was a real godsend to fill that corner in. And then we hear this talk about safe standing and what Celtic have done and a couple of other clubs. And it thought, oh, that's great. So we all had a discussion in the block where we sat. And the ironic thing was, none of us wanted it. And none of us wanted to move. We didn't see the point. There was a section below who don't stand. Then there's us in the middle. And then the people at the top were generally up and down. Now, I get two things. I get that the club want it because people asked for it. And I know a lot of the people that have asked for it and who did the interview with you on last week's show were all very positive for it. And I'm positive for it. But what I didn't want was to be told I had to move when people around me, and there's at least 20 or 30 people, all agreed, but none of us wanted to move anyway. And then when you talk to people in the net, they're the people that voted for it. And yet they're not even in the South Stand. So it was a bit weird, really. And then the club said to me, oh, we've moved you. And now you're going to be in block 41. Well, I didn't want to be in block 41 because I'm open to the elements again. And I had all those years of getting wet through when it rained, and now we're going to get it again. And I actually believe, I think the atmosphere will be great. I'm not sure putting the away fans in the corner is the right decision. They're going to be sandwiched between Stoke fans. I think it's a recipe for disaster. I think the ideal place would have been the bottom tier, last three bottom tiers in the Franklin stand, with the coaches fenced off behind where the TV gantries are on the Booven End car park. I think that would have been a perfect opportunity, and you could close it down. If they didn't bring 1,500, you could mesh the bottom fence bit off, and it's ideal. I just thought that would have been the ideal location, but sticking them in the corner, is it a disaster waiting to happen? I don't know. We're going to have to see, aren't we? I'm positive. I'll embrace it. I have got a front row seat now on the upper tier, which means I can put my flag over that little chrome barrier or whatever it is. And that's the positive, really. And we'll see how we go on. I think another reason the club did it was not just for the atmosphere and the tunnel scenario that they keep spouting. I think it's so the police can keep an eye on the lads that are in there, because we are a motley crew, aren't we? With Stoke City at the end of the day. and let's be honest, we're passionate. So there has been a lot of swearing. There's no trouble in the South Stand. generally, as a passionate group of people, we're in there for a reason. We want to all sing together and have a good time and watch Stoke win, and that's why we're there. But initially and even now, I'm holding my judgment because I'm in there. I'll see what my view's like. It's not going to be what I had before, which was my ideal spot. And if you're voting for it from the booth end, from the family stand, get yourself in there. Then let's see it full, because it was never full. It was never full in the South Stand, but everyone's voted for it. So let's see how many have turned around to come in there. If that top tier isn't full, that will tell me the people that voted for it are elsewhere in the ground. If it's full, thumbs up from me.
Thanks for that, Al. I think that's a really good point, and it's great to get your view on it, because obviously we've spoken to you about it, and it was just nice to get you on camera talking about it. We hadn't managed to interview you at the ground about it because you're the one doing the interviews, so we never got that about it.
Max, I didn't want to come across negative because the club's invested in it, and there is a reason, but there might be an underlying reason. But I'll get behind it and I'll support it. I'll support whatever the club do. I don't want people thinking I'm being a drainer or anything. I am a supporter of the club, but what I do, there's just this underlying feeling that some of the stuff the club tell you isn't always factual or honest.
Well, no comment. But I think the fact is, it's nice. Everyone's got a right to an opinion. Everyone's got a right to say what they want to say, especially about the club and the club that they support. So getting that opinion off you, and so we've obviously interviewed people, but it's nice to get your opinion as someone who's in and amongst it and is being moved. So thank you for that, Al. We appreciate it.
Max, just one final thing before I go. But do you remember a couple of seasons ago, the club really pushed for everyone to have flags in the ground in the corner of the family stand, and there was all them new supporters that used to be in the top of the booth and end, in the top left-hand corner if you were on the park. Where have they all gone? Where's all the flags? You're not allowed to take a stick into the ground. You can't wave a banner.
Well, that's not ideal, is it, really?
But that was a great atmosphere, and they tried to create that atmosphere by allowing it. Now you can't do it. So let's see what happens, and I'll be happy to talk about this after 2 or 3 games when we see what it all sort of pans out like at the match.
I think we're all interested to see how it's going to pan out and see what the result is of all these changes. So there you go, Stoke fans. That's what Al had to say. Al, thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate you being on the show with us. Sam, what did you think of what Al had to say?
I think it was a great interview. Thanks, Al, for coming on, for some really valid points made.
No doubt we will have Al back on the show going forward. But let us know what you think to those things that we've discussed in the show today. And if you want to be on the show with Sam and I, maybe you and a bunch of other Stoke fans, ping us a message. Let us know via Facebook Messenger. Let us know in the comments. We want to try and get Stoke fans involved in the show. We want to try and get a panel. Obviously, we'll do it, go somewhere a bit more high class than this. But we want to try and do that, especially during the summer and when there's no football on, kind of thing, where we can't go out and get fan interviews. So, anything else to say before we go, Sam?
No, that's it from me.
And that's it from him as well. We'll see you next time.